This video is going to be sort of a rant toward my younger self, but also my future self, because I know I'm going to get lazy again, and I don't even need this. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I seem to have a tendency to somehow forget about lessons that I've already learned, and I think that this one's pretty important, especially when you're trying to grow as a musician. So my first point here is don't get distracted before getting stuff done if possible. And by stuff I sort of mean practicing, but it could apply to anything really. This is much harder to apply when you have school or work early in the morning, but I have found that if you can wake up and the first thing that you do when you wake up is get straight to work, get straight to practicing, or whatever the thing is, you can literally do 5 times the amount of work just in that time before you eat, before you do anything. I mean, you can go to the restroom and whatnot, but before you do anything else, you can get like 5 times the amount of work done that you would throughout the whole week. I mean, it sounds completely ridiculous, and to be honest, it's kind of hard to do often at all. At least for me, because ideally you wake up early, you wake up before everybody else, and I'm somebody who goes to bed late because it's a character flaw. But when I do get up early, and when I do not eat food and I just get straight to work, and it's not always practicing, although practicing is incorporated. Maybe it'll be like filming videos or editing videos. But there's just something about not letting your mind get distracted by going on your phone. So I'm talking, you don't get up and scroll on social media, you don't get up and watch any videos or whatever it is that you like to do on your phone, text your friends back. I'm talking about you get up, you go to the bathroom if you need to, and you just start working. Or maybe it's good to, get some water in too. But there's something about not letting your mind even have the chance to think about anything else that A, makes it easier to work for longer, and B, just lets you focus in, and almost your brain just works better for some reason. And that kind of ties into my second point, which is once you've consumed content in a day, your focus is pretty much going to be way lower. So if you have to wait till after school or something to practice, and by then you get home, you go on your phone for a couple hours, take a little break, maybe a nap, whatever it is that you do after school, you get back and that's your time to practice. When you have that time to practice, you're just not going to be in the optimal headspace to get things done. And so I walk by practice rooms where I go to college, and I see people on their phone all the time, watching videos, consuming content while they're practicing, which I've been a culprit of before too. And it's like, I know I shouldn't be doing it. It just kind of happens because I had already started watching something or reading something, whatever it is, before I was practicing. And then it came time to practice, but I was just like so addicted to my screen that I just couldn't even put it down to focus on my practice. And normally I would start playing, and I would get focused in on that, and then end up turning my phone off. But the amount of times in the past that I could have just started off focused, and I could have just started off with sort of a good intent of, hey, I'm here to improve. I'm not just here to get my hours in, because people who are here to just get their hours in don't really get anywhere, whatever the thing is. But having that just immediate, I'm doing this, is completely gone for me if I go into it either having watched content recently or watching it as I'm practicing. And there's people watching this right now. You should click off if you're practicing right now. No, but you get my point. I think it's detrimental to your improvement in your practice or anything that you do, if you're distracted while you do it. It should almost be like a meditative state of, this is the thing that I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on my sound. I'm focusing on the music that I'm making, or this exercise that I'm doing, whatever it is. It doesn't matter as much what you're doing as much as it does that you're actually focused on it. My third point is don't let people distract you. You will get 10 times more done in isolation. And it seems like an exaggeration, but even just having family around, knocking on your door, coming in, saying, hey, what's up, sitting on your bed, whatever it is that your family might do, having any of that, having a text message even from your friend or a call come in, having any of that during your time of practice, because it can, it's totally, you need the connection outside of your practice, absolutely. But while you're practicing, if you have that sort of interruptions on a regular basis, whether it be your phone or in real life, you might need to reach out to them separately and tell them, hey, this is my time that I'm practicing and it's actually important to me. Maybe to them, they don't think that you're serious about it because, you know, you haven't been doing it for a certain amount of time or whatever, but they need to know, if it's important to you, that it's important to you. And so you might have to tell them more than once and just, you know, remind them every once in a while, like, hey, that really distracted me and I had to completely reset my mind to get focused back into practice. You know, and you just tell them, could you please not do that next time and just let me have my time? So if you've gotten this far and you've put your phone down and you've told people, please don't interrupt me and whatnot, and you're still getting distracted, chances are it's your phone still. This is a little bit controversial, especially if you have this conversation with your family, but if you're in the middle of practicing or even working for that matter, you should have your phone as silenced as possible. I don't personally have notifications on for like almost any of my apps except for, you know, maybe like text messages, and that's pretty much it. If I'm gonna see something from a notification or whatever from any app, it's because I chose to click on that app and engage with that app. But you can imagine how much less you would get done in a practice if you're in the middle of being focused, you hear a ding, and then you just automatically, you know, like a robot, you just like check it because that's what we do. And it's just like, your army is ready for battle in Clash of Clans. It's like, you don't need to know that while you're practicing. What are you gonna go play? Which you might, but you shouldn't. And these seem like such little things, like, oh, WhatsApp notification from the group chat, like, oh, that's not distracting. It is if you hear it and you look at it. I mean, that's breaking your focus completely. So if you're in the middle practicing, notifications silenced, do not disturb on, and if it's bad enough, you could even use airplane mode. Although, you know, your family might be upset about that, you know, if they try and call you and it always goes to voicemail, but it's like, this is my time to practice. Chances are you're not calling for an emergency. And the emergency thing is the biggest counter argument against it. What if there's an emergency? Let's be completely honest and humble here. Unless you're a parent, or you're like 30 years old or something like that, nobody's really gonna call you for an emergency. Just saying. They're not gonna call me either. Yes, there's the rare family emergency that you want to know about as soon as possible, but chances are, and this is gonna sound really messed up, you do not need to be somebody who is there immediately, whatever the thing is. These types of emergencies are very rare and probably won't even happen more than once every couple years. So if you get these notifications and calls a little too often during your practice, you might not even notice that it's distracting you, but it's distracting you a lot. So whether it be practice or your work or your schoolwork, if you're serious about it, you should respect yourself and not allow yourself to get interrupted and distracted the way that we all do way too often. And I know some of you still practice during this entire video. You just can't listen, can you?